What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm back with a cool profile that I thought was actually really creative. I mean, I think I've seen this before. Actually, I know I've seen this before. It was done in past formats, but now that we have Pantheism back at 3 with the most recent ban list, I thought, hey, this deck could be really viable again, and that is true Draco Monarch. Now, it's actually really not focused around the Monarch stuff so much. It's more just focused around the true Draco and then locking your opponent out with Domain. Now, Domain and true Draco has always been a thing. People have always played it, but I think right now it's actually very underrated and very sleeper. And the thing is, something like Curaz, which I even considered doubling up on, but I found that one was enough, and I'll talk to you guys about that when I get there. But even something like Curaz, being able to pop your own spells and traps to get their effects off is actually insane, and then you get your own draws. Like, how crazy is that, right? So I thought this deck was really cool. I really wanted to showcase it off to you guys. Now, if you guys have other builds or suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. You know I love when you guys send me your suggestions, and you guys know that I love to hear what you guys have to say. But before we get into the video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and on top of that, make sure to check out the social medias. Everything will be linked in the description below. And if you guys haven't already checked out the new channel membership, make sure to hit that join button. It's right beside the subscribe button, I think. Just make sure to hit that join button, and yeah, you get exclusive perks when you become a channel member. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out, make sure to check it out. I also have a video explaining what you get as a channel member. Now, I should mention that I'm going to be putting up a face over here. Don't have a face cam. Sorry for that, guys. I just still don't have my setup properly. Med school is taking a lot out of me. All right, guys, I'm sorry, but it really is taking a lot out of me. So I'm just trying to make videos for you guys. And so today we do have Monarch, true Draco, like I said earlier. So we're starting off with 2 Aether as well as 1 Curaz. That's it for the Monarchs. The only reason you're playing these 3 is because if you guys didn't know, Ignis actually synergizes with the Monarchs really well because the stats are the same as the Monarch stats. Now, if you guys don't know what I mean, the Monarch stats are either 28 1000 or 24 1000, which obviously Curaz right here is 24 1000, 28 1000 for the Aether. We got 24 1000 right here with the Ignis. You know what that means? That means you can use Tenacity with Ignis in hand. That means you can use the Aether effect to special summon Ignis. That's why I think this synergizes really well. And then being just able to domain lock your opponent with like a true Draco monster plus like, let's say, a Floodgate set, like you're huge. I think it's better than the pure Monarch builds, to be completely honest with you. I don't think the pure Monarch builds are that great. They're very bricky. Now, this deck is much more slower than the pure Monarch decks, I should say, because it's very much control based. As you guys can see, there can be only one. Monarchs erupt. You got the true Draco spells and traps, like very much slower, and it's focused around like both breaking your opponent's boards and then just being able to beat down your opponent. That's one thing Monarch couldn't do very well, is just break your opponent's boards, and it really sucked going second. But true Draco obviously inherently is really good going first and good going second, so this gives that power to that Monarchs really needed. So we'll get into the profile. Sorry for taking so long. I just really wanted to explain to you why this synergizes so well. But 2 Aether, 1 Curaz, like I said earlier. Curaz being able to pop your own spells and traps to get their effects off, and then being able to draw cards is really good. Now, the thing is, Curaz has always been done and used to pop your opponent's cards, really, even if they get the draws. It's just to clear your opponent's fields. One of the better cards going second for Monarchs. But now you even have a better play with it because you pop your own cards, draw your cards, and then these are going to pop your back row, or your opponent's back row, I should say, and then these are going to pop your opponent's monsters, and like, of course, Heritage as well. So it's so strong. So Curaz is really good in this deck. I am playing 1 Dynamite Knight, obviously just because it's at 1, so I'm playing one of these, one of the best ones. You really just want to search your traps as fast as possible. Once you get your traps set up, you're pretty much like in a really good position. So Dynamite Knight, triple Ignis. Ignis is the most important one just because it has the Monarch stats, and then on top of that, like, it's just one of those better monsters for you. The thing is, I should mention, I'm not playing Return. I guess Return technically searches this out as well, but I didn't want to play too many Monarch spells or traps just because I thought it could really get bricky, and I really just wanted to eliminate that chance of brick in this deck. So these are all the monsters you're playing with 1 Majesty. Majesty is mostly just to search Dynamite Knight. If you don't get into your Dynamite Knight, Majesty is your really good alternative for that. So that's why I'm definitely like playing one of these just to get into this. And obviously, if I have this already, I'll get into one of these. Doesn't really matter. But you're really just playing these 5 right here because these are the only ones you need. These are pretty much your best Monarchs for this deck. So that's why you're only playing these really small monster count, which is just 8 monsters. And then the rest is either draw power or Floodgates, because you just want to be able to beat your opponent by floodgating them and then slowly beating them down. So triple Pantheism. Pantheism, of course, is a pot of greed. Why would you not play this? Double Tenacity to search it. The only reason I'm playing only double Tenacity is because we're not playing a full Monarch deck and we're playing very little monster count. So it's not all the time where I'm going to have a Monarch or an Ignis in my hand. So that's why I really didn't want to max this out at 3. So I thought 2 was just perfectly fine. 1 Upstart just because I wanted to keep this at a 40 card deck, and actually 39 card deck with the Upstart. Double pot of Duality. Duality is really good because you're not really special summoning too much with this deck. deck other than Aether, but to be honest with you, like even with Aether, like it doesn't really conflict too much. If you can just set up like one of your true Draco monsters, tribute summon, plus like some floodgates, you're really good. So that's why I just plotted Duality. I thought was really good. Double Monarch Stormforth. Now this is one of those things that I was kind of back and forth about. I kind of wanted to play a third, and that's why if you guys see here on the side deck, I kind of wanted to play a third Prime and a third Stormforth. This is kind of something you guys can consider. If you guys want to take out the upstart, play the third Stormforth, you can do that as well. And the only reason I'm only playing 2 is because 1, it's searchable off Tenacity. Obviously, you contribute your opponent's monsters and break your opponent's boards with this, but you still kind of want to go first with this deck, so that's kind of why I just wanted to keep it at like 2. I didn't really want to max it out, keep drawing into it, and then it's kind of like, okay, I'm going first though. It's not really that useful. As you guys can see, I'm also not playing like Escalation, so I'm not going to be able to tribute on my opponent's turn too much. So that's why I thought double Stormforth was enough. Triple Heritage, of course, as well as triple Disciples. These are the best like true Draco spells, obviously, and you have three Ignis, so you always want to have a spell in deck pretty much. 1 Diagram, as well as triple Domain. Now I'm not playing Terraforming. The thing is, Tenacity technically searches Domain. The other thing you can do is you can play double Domain and the Terraforming just for that potential like Terraforming to Diagram play. You guys can do that, but again, Diagram's not that important in this deck. Like, it's obviously really good, it searches all your monsters, but it's not your go-to. Pretty much if you can set up a board of like Ignis Heat plus a Domain plus any floodgate, either Erupt or there can be only one, like straight up your opponent's just not going to be playing the game. So that's why it's like I just really wanted to max out on Domain. It was more important than Diagram, but of course Diagram's great, like don't get me wrong, but it's just not one of those things you need to prioritize, right, in this deck. So Domain was just definitely a 3-up. With Pantheism, like you banish it, reveal 3 to search it. So if I didn't have the Domain in hand already, I just really wanted to show 3 so that I could obviously get the Domain, right? So that's why I just really wanted to max out on Domain. I didn't want to play 2 and then just be like reveal double Domain and like a Stormforth and then not end up getting the Domain in hand, right? So for the Pantheism, I really wanted to play the triple Domain. Also, I guess Tenacity searches Domain if you have Pantheism in hand already. If you don't have Pantheism in hand, Tenacity is what's going to be searching your Pantheism, but if you do have Pantheism, then I guess Tenacity could also search this, but still 3-up, one of the best cards in the deck. This card does so much more than just being a Floodgate. It's 1, a Floodgate, 2, it boosts all your true Dracos as well as your Monarchs. Now, obviously, we all know Diagram boosts the true Dracos by 300, but then on top of that, they can't be destroyed the first time by battle or whatever. The thing is, Domain gets you that extra 800 as well, so it actually gives you more of an attack boost than Diagram because it just says any tribute summon monster you control gains 800 attack during damage calculation. And like I said earlier, we're talking about Floodgates, we're talking about locking your opponent out. There can only be one is one of the best cards to do that. Just so good against so many decks, so there can be only one is only really good. Monarch's Erupt is really good. The thing is, if you draw multiple of this, that's why you're playing something like Pantheism is so good because now it's like, okay, let's say I draw double Erupt. I don't need double Erupt in hand. You Pantheism, you draw 2. Like, it's so good. So Erupt, you definitely want to max it out. Prime is another thing that I played. I don't see a lot of builds playing this, and I think a lot of builds don't play this in True Draco. I think it's really good because it gives you a potential tribute summon because it's an extra monster. But then on top of that, if you open it, the thing is, Prime has always been notorious for being a brick in hand. Unless you have something like Pantheism in your hand, then Prime is kind of a brick. I think what people overlook with this card is that it's a continuous trap. And what I mean by that is you can just set it and then tribute one of your Draco monsters over it and then gets it in the graveyard. Like, that's how good it is. So that's why I thought Prime Monarch was really good. One, obviously, if it's in your graveyard, it's really good because it's also Pantheism fodder. But on top of that, you could literally just set it and then tribute over it with a true Draco. So that's why I thought it was really good. Triple Apocalypse as well as 1 return. Of course, we all know what these cards do. I personally think return should come back to 2 or 3. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I still don't know why it's still at 1. But 1 is fine. Like, I guess it's whatever. You're recurring your true Draco monsters as much as possible. And then Disciples is mostly going to be shuffling this back all the time if it's in the graveyard anyways. But that's it for the deck, really. Like, there's no extra deck, obviously. You're playing Erupt, you're playing the Domain, you're playing the Monarch, so you're not going to be playing an extra deck. So that's it pretty much for the deck. The whole point of the deck is to floodgate your opponent out and just slowly beat him down. Like, your opponent cannot out these kind of boards. Now, I did say that your opponent is going to have trouble breaking these boards, but we do have Harpy's Feather Duster back at 1. So what that means is, obviously, like, it's a blowout against a lot of, like, the back row decks. So that's why it's kind of like the thing is, that's why Prime is not bad actually either, because if you set the Prime and they Duster, it's fine. But the thing is, it's like, okay, you're gonna lose to Harpy's Feather Duster, but for the most part, like, you can't be worried or playing your deck around 1 card, especially if it's only at 1, and it's probably gonna only see play in the side deck anyways. The thing is, I didn't show you guys the side deck here, but you guys can be siding in cards that counter it, and I'm gonna say like Judgment, Dark Bribe, stuff like that. You're gonna be siding anyways. Right now, I didn't show you guys the side deck. I just wanted to show you guys these two because if you guys wanted to play a third Stormforth, you could. If you guys wanted to play a third Prime, you could. But I think this list is really good. Just keeping it at 39 with the upstart is just super good in my opinion. Makes the deck super consistent. You have upstart draw, you have Pantheism draws, you have Tenacity searches, you have your True Draco searches. Like, there's so much draw power. You have your Heritage draws, you have your Disciples draws. Like, so much draw power in this deck. You're gonna get to a floodgate, you're gonna get to a monster, and you're pretty much just gonna win the duel like that. I think it's a very underrated deck. I'm not saying it's gonna be tier 1 or meta or the best deck in the game, and obviously this is maybe not even the best build of it. I tested this deck out, I had a lot of success with it, so I was like, you know what, let me show you guys this deck. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and with that, guys, Spanko signing out. Peace.
My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit.